I'm Kevin Stokesbury. I'm a professor at the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth in the School for Marine Science and Technology in the Department of Fisheries Oceanography. For sea scallops, the Atlantic sea scallops here in New Bedford. New Bedford's the #1 fishing port in the United States as far as value goes, and about 75% of that is scallops. The resource is at an all-time high, but more importantly, it seems to be a sustainable high. The scallop industry back in 1997 was on its knees. They were facing bankruptcy, and they were looking at losing about a third of their fleet. But a few years before that, in 1994, the Marine Fisheries Service had closed these large areas of Georges Bank to protect groundfish. And in doing so, they had also stopped all mobile gear, including scallop dredges. So the fishermen felt that there were high aggregations of scallops in these closed areas, and it was their historic fishing ground. The industry said, we need information, we need good scientific information, so we're going to put up 2% of the catch. So if you're allowed to take 20%, which is what they were allowed to take at the time, we'll only harvest 18%, and we'll give that other 2% in scallop weight, and we'll give that to research. Where our work came in is we needed to measure accurately and precisely the density within those closed areas without doing any damage. And so that's why we came up with the drop camera work. You put the pyramid on the sea floor, it doesn't disturb the sea floor, you're just taking a picture. I think the thought at the time was that there were more scallops in the area, but what we really proved is that there were a lot more, about 14 times more than what was in the open areas. So that led to the opening of these closed areas on a very, very controlled rotational plan where you preserve and protect that area, let them grow, and then harvest them when they're at the right size. So whenever a large amount of small scallops are spotted, that area is closed for 2 or 3 years, allowing it to grow, and then the vessels are allowed in to access and harvest it. In the US, we have about 350 vessels that fish offshore for the limited access fleet. This is an example of them. These are beautiful machines. They haul 2 15-foot or 5-meter dredges, one on either side. On the back, there's the twine top. That allows the groundfish to try and escape through it. The rings are regulated right now. They're regulated for 4-inch, so 102 millimeters, which allows all the smaller scallops to get through, and that is part of the success story as well, because it increased the size of the scallops to ensure that they had at least 1 spawn per female. And what happens is that the dredge is pulled over the sea floor and then dumped on the deck, where the scallops are then sorted by the crew. Now, right now, under our regulations, you're allowed to have 7 people on the vessel. So that includes the captain, mate, engineer, and the crew. The fishery is closely monitored, and one of the things that we use to monitor it is a vessel monitoring system. Each boat has a box which sends back a satellite signal, which allows the Coast Guard and the Marine Fisheries Service to plot its activities. The result was that you were fishing a fraction of the sea floor, you were killing about 1/5 the number of scallops, and you were getting these great large scallops. And as far as we can tell from the scientific information, we had the ability to keep that going. The scallop industry here in the Northeast has rebuilt their population. This is a real success story. The success is built on basically the 3 pillars. There's scientific knowledge, which is a combination of federal government surveys and also a lot of collaborative research with the fishing industry. So you have that level of security that you're harvesting it sustainably and responsibly. People can be confident that they're getting a high quality product, that they're not damaging the environment, and that the product is sustainable, and so they can depend on it in the future.